I got another brilliant idea for a new intro for this episode. You ready for it?
Mm, but this is my worst moments. I don't
No, no,
know.
no, 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 no. It's not that. I'm not gonna make fun of you this week, Quinn. This is
Okay.
a chant. It's gonna get us fired up, man. It's World Cup season. The U.S. are in it. We're one of the hosts. Like we're fired up, Quinn. Come on, Quinn, get fired
Okay.
up, man. I'm
All
ready.
right.
I think I'm
Yeah.
ready. Let's do it.
I'm
Let's
good.
do
All
it.
right.
Hit
Let's
it.
hear it. Let's hear it.
US, that's the way we like it. We like it. We love it.
I don't love it.
Because we support the US.
What the? Okay, I have to rant on this. No normal intro like this week, because what the hell was that? I mean, seriously, we're hosting the World Cup, and this is what we have? It's not even the execution of the chant, which the dude behind the camera made it so much worse. But because we support the U.S., that's the way we like it. We love it. What is that? England would put us to shame. All of Europe would put us to shame. What? This is awful.
Feels like a woke chant. Like, how do we not offend anyone? Let's just say
Yes.
we support the
Yes.
U.S. I wish I
Oh,
found my
gosh.
little Germany flag to wave after this, after that terrible chant, but unfortunately I could not find it.
Oh gosh, you talk about like trying to keep everybody happy and appropriate. England does not give a crap. They'll chant anything and everything at you. That's why I love them. But yes, welcome to the DQ Frenzy. It's midsummer. It's hot out, but there's still football going on. In both ways. In one, we got football and football to talk about. But we'll start with the American. We'll start with the I don't want to be too controversial, but better version of football, and start with some news, some DQ Frenzy news. The DQ Frenzy news. Because somehow in June, we still have news when normally we wouldn't at all. The first one came from last Thursday, and Quinn immediately texted about it and was flabbergasted. I think a lot of people are.
Flabbergasted.
Christian Watson. Last Thursday, the Packers locked up their supposedly playmaker Christian Watson to a 4-year, $110.5 million extension. It's a hefty $31 million signing bonus. Keeps him throughout the 2030 season. He's in the top 15 now for highest receivers in the league. But the man's got injury issues, which is a big reason why fans are skeptical of this. He had a torn ACL last year. I think he was out a couple games. And even then, his receiving numbers, while good, not exactly on the elite tier to how he's getting paid. But you're the Packers fan, Quinn. You were shocked when you heard this news, so here's the floor to rant about it.
So what kind of got me is like his first year, well, maybe not first, but I think his second year was with Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers started trusting him more and throwing him the ball. He did pretty well. Like his stats were never amazing. He's had 611 yards, 422 yards, 620 yards, and 611 yards. Actually, I think it was his rookie season, that 611 and 7 touchdowns that he had with Aaron Rodgers. But
Forgot he played with Rodgers.
yeah, because all the talk was like, Rodgers trusts the new rookie wide receiver. And then towards the second half of the season, he started trusting him. And, I mean, he did pretty decently. I mean, most of those numbers were from, like, the second half of the season of the 6-11. But then Rodgers left, and then the 422 his numbers aren't very impressive. He had some rushing yards. He has 117 for his career and 2 rushing touchdowns, but both of those 2 touchdowns and 80 of his yards came from his first year with Rodgers. And it's just I don't understand paying him 4 years, $110.5 million, when you're like, all right, we'll have Dobbs, who kind of was the main like other guy. Like, oh, is it going to be Dobbs or Watson? Who's going to be the better guy? And then it was kind of Watson, but then I think Dobbs kind of took that mantle later on. Watson's just kind of like he's like a Jameson Williams, but not as good in the sense of like he'll get the ball sometimes and he can make some plays, but your consistent guy, he's not your number one consistent guy. Like that was Dobbs, or even Wicks did pretty darn well too. But I just don't understand we have these like 5 wide receivers. This one we'll trade away. This one we'll just let go. This one we'll keep him at 110 million. And I don't know, maybe they like the potential. I imagine that has to be it. But like for his best year being arguably best year being his first year 4 years ago, feels a little strange to pay and then what the other guys want.
Well, looking at specifics, he played 10 games last year, so he missed a decent chunk of games and caught 35 passes for 611 yards and 6 touchdowns. I don't know if I'd pay a guy like that money. I guess maybe in terms of Green Bay standards, he's the most consistent when he's on the field. I know they were trying to get A.J. Brown. That didn't work out, trying to get any type of receiver to really stand out from the pack, but I guess they're banking on more like upside and potential more than paying like for what he's done. They're paying him for what he can become, which could be a risk reward ratio of it could work out. But I'm not sure, is it worth that? You already paid Micah a lot. You might have to start making decisions on other players as well. We don't know what their running back, Josh Jacobs, what the heck's going to happen with him. So, yeah, it's a little bit of an oddball move to give him that much. Maybe you could have gotten him for cheaper. But it's no disrespect to the talent. He has talent. He just, a little overpaid. That's all. But
And
I would.
I
I
just
got
want to make
more.
a comparison when you're done. But yeah, so Christian Watson and Alec Pierce both drafted the same year. Pierce just got paid 110 million or 114 million, sorry. So that was also a lot, but that's also more understandable. So looking at Pierce's numbers, he had just shy of 600 yards in his first year. Then second year had about 514. Third year had 824, and then last season had 1,003. He's kind of the deep threat for the team. And he kind of, with the third and fourth year, he started going off, getting to 800 and 1,000 yards. Watson got to 600 and then stayed at 600. And like Watson has more touchdowns. He has 20 with 7, 5, 2, and 6 respectively in the seasons. Pierce it was definitely more towards the end. He had 2 touchdowns, and 7 and 6 to get to 17. So not as many touchdowns, but like if you ask me who I'd rather have of these 2 receivers with their contracts, I feel like I'd rather have Pierce. I feel like he has more talent and he's been ramping up. And there's a whole "what do you do for me lately" argument. And like I can understand paying Pierce that money. I mean, it's still a little high for everything considered, but like contracts go up. But it's just kind of weird seeing the comparison of the two and seeing he got paid similar money. And I think, well, I'd rather have one than the other. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, but I want to make that comparison.
Well, I would certainly have these two over this man that we're about to talk about, and that is Brandon Ayiuk. What is going on? I mean, it just seems like it's a never-ending feud between them every offseason, and it's apparently, I guess, reached a fever pitch. My gosh, I can't talk tonight. But, yes, he has still not played since 2 years ago. Week 7, I believe, was the last time we saw him. And what they did, the Niners, was they voided a $26 million off of his next year's contract guarantees and placed him on the reserve/left squad list. And it went from bad to worse because apparently the whole controversy Ayuk's had over the past few months came back to bite him last week when the county district office in Santa Clara issued an arrest warrant for Ayiuk for that misdemeanor traffic violation he had when he was speeding last season. And of course, the genius Ayiuk that he is, he posted a video about it too because he has to show off his ride, I guess. And I think he's also been posted like weird cryptic stuff about it, and Ayuk's been saying weird stuff. I think the main quotes that I have is, well, for one, he like was modeling a Commander's hat. Maybe he wants to be with Debo, and he was calling on social media the Niners brass little ass boys and female dogs. And he claimed they are terrified to release him, stating, "Stop running from the bill coming. You scared. They know how I get." Oh, geez. You might as well just have the A.J. Brown, the enemy speaks kindly from the heart type of tweets, because what the heck is this? I mean, and the crazy thing is, Ayuk is not worth the price of admission anymore like he was 5 years ago, where he had like 1 or 2 elite seasons. He's been nowhere near the same since. And I think the Niners, for some reason, just don't show any progress of cutting him. I guess why they don't want to get rid of him, because you think he'd be to another team by now. Maybe teams don't want him anymore with the baggage, but I don't know. This is just a strange situation that refuses to end. I don't know what the future holds for him, or if he has one.
Yeah, it's just so weird. All the total diva. Like, he was good, but I wouldn't say he was like a great wide receiver. I wouldn't say in top
Hmm.
10, probably, right? But I mean, it's just kind of weird to go through all this. I mean, what makes him think that the Niners want to pay him, or that any other team would want him after this? Like, especially after not playing for like a year and a half. I don't get it. It doesn't help too that like he should have some understanding. Like, 49er system is very good. So there's gonna be people who are saying he's just a product of the system, right? And like, it's not just like fans. I'd be surprised if no NFL teams also consider that. Like, I mean, it's a great system, but players are going to be pissed up. I mean, look at all the running backs that come out of the 49ers system, for example. A lot of them play pretty well, especially with their backups, but then go to another team and they're just kind of meh at best. So, yeah, wild. I don't know. Ayuk's just, I don't think he's going to, I don't know. It's weird. I don't think he'd be playing this year. I don't know what team wants him, but I guess some teams are desperate enough. While we're on the NFC West, I'm going to quick jump over to some recent news of the Rams left tackle. Yes, the Rams, a super team, one that has like the best odds to win the Super Bowl this year. Their left tackle is, he just got arrested on suspicion of felony domestic violence. So that's great.
Love Hurricane arrests. We love seeing that.
Yay! Great job, dude. You're a real winner.
They're still winning the Super Bowl.
Are they? Are they?
Well, I guess the rest of the news that I have, at least, not anything groundbreaking. We have a possibility of down the line Bijan getting paid and them asking him about it. They want to lock him long term before that market expands, and Bijan's probably the best running back in football. You better pay him. Denzel Ward talked about Myles Garrett, saying like he still wants to be a Cleveland Brown. Said it's Ohio against the world, so I guess he doesn't want to go anywhere either, even after the trade. And speaking of the Browns, I don't think this was true, but I think the media tried to create some controversy between Gabriel and Jared Verse, because Verse wears what Gabriel's number used to be. Now Dylan Gabriel's going to be 6 because Jared Verse is number 8. They were saying stuff like, oh, like Verse would pay Gabriel to like keep his number. And I'm like, this just seems like such fake news. This doesn't seem true. And I think it was confirmed that it wasn't. But I think they're trying to come up with like viral memes and stuff to create an unnecessary feud that doesn't even exist. If anything, I would think he would feud with Shador more because Shador likes to feud with everybody. Gabriel seems like a quiet, laid back guy. He really doesn't seem like he'd go through controversy like that. But Brown's on the news, but for bad reasons. What a shock. But at least Denzel
Yeah.
Ward's still there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of funny. Then Ward's like, yeah, Ohio versus the world. I mean, the Bengals are the only team from Ohio that's actually doing anything good. But yeah, it's about time Bijan gets paid. It'd be smart. And yeah, from what I saw from the Verse News, is just first showed up and training camp had another 8, and then people were asked like Gabriel in like a interview thing, and Gabriel said like, oh yeah, I thought he was gonna he paid me something for the number or whatever. Because normally when you go to another team, you can get a player, or if another number has your player. Let's say I'm number 10. I go to the Eagles and there's a number 10 already. I can go to that player and say, hey, I want the number. Are you okay with that? He agrees. I buy out the rest of his jerseys with that number. So depending on how popular the player is, you pay based on that. And so apparently Gabriel's like, yeah, he thought he was going to get a few dollars or something for the number, pay out for the jerseys, but apparently they just First just has number 8 now. So I don't know what all was spinning and going around there, but there's some talk about like, who does Gabriel think he is getting money for his number? He's a backup for a third string quarterback, but I thought that was kind of funny. It's just like, oh yeah, I thought I'd get money for it. Whether that's serious or not, I don't know, but funny.
I mean, I just don't believe it, but yeah, it is kind of funny. On to this next news that is sponsored by DraftKings because it's about sports betting. And it's in the college ranks. And it has to do with Brandon Sorsby, that is a Texas Tech transfer, played at Cincinnati last year, and had a temporary injunction against the NCAA because he was previously declared ineligible because he admitted he placed thousands of sports bets over a 4-year period, including his own team, while playing for Indiana, not Cincinnati, back when Indiana really wasn't a good team. And under strict laws, obviously you can't do that, but the injunction completely blocks out their lifetime ban that he got for this season. So he'll only have to sit out the first 2 games, which is only against like Albine Christian, Oregon State, not good teams, and then he can play. And fans are pissed. They think they should not have gotten an injunction for this because of betting. It's been this controversy all the time where it's like, yeah, like, you really shouldn't be betting, especially on your own teams, but you're also promoting the crap out of it. So you're kind of a hypocrite. You're kind of controversial when you're doing that. Now, NCAA, they don't do that like betting like the NFL does. So I could see why maybe that's a little more of a strict thing compared to NFL players doing it, and like you're punishing them, but you're promoting it at the same time. But yeah, I see why fans are upset about this, especially wagering on your own team and doing that to your locker room. And for him to pretty much get away with it with no punishment at all, I don't know. That's kind of good. That doesn't make the NCAA look good.
Yeah. So yeah, he admitted to wagering at least $90,000 over his 4 years.
Ugh.
That's crazy. And like some
That NIL
ridiculous
money, I
amount of
guess.
bets, over 9,000 bets, averaging over 20 per day, apparently. But I know he was going to be in the NFL supplemental draft, where basically players who couldn't be in the draft for like reasons like this, disciplinary, or they couldn't qualify in time, they can go in the supplemental draft. And how that works is like they break it down into 3 categories of teams. They cut it off at like 8 teams or so, but there's a very bad teams. They each get to put a blind bet in terms of what round pick they want to bet on a player, and whoever has the highest wins. So let's say the Browns see Sorsby was going to be in this draft. So let's say the Browns say, okay, we're going to put a 3rd round pick on Sorsby, and then I don't know, let's say there's another bad team, the Jets. Say we're going to put a 2nd round pick, and then the Jets would win, and their 2nd round pick for next year would be taken and used for Sorsby here. And then if none of those first teams, the really bad teams, don't make any bets, then it goes to the bad teams, and it goes to like the playoff teams last. But there's a lot of news with the Eagles about like two GMs of other teams were like very confident that Sorsby was in this draft, how he's going to move up, or was going to try and get him, and like because they want to replace Jalen Hurts, have one more year, which is also ridiculous. Because, but anyway. Eagles media is crazy. They're whack jobs. Anyway,
Diana Rossini.
Yeah, but
that's all.
Anyway, yeah, Sorsby. He's projected to be a top 10 pick next year potentially, and already apparently loaded superstar 2027 draft. We'll see how that works out because every year it's like, oh, next year, or 2 years from now, it's gonna be a great quarterback draft, and then it's just like you get there and you're like, oh, I don't really want any of these guys. That guy's okay, but regardless, kind of crazy, that he bet 90,000 and more or less got away with it. But I don't know. Who knows? We don't mind betting, only a little bit. NFL and
holding
NBA
accountability. What's that? Never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Stanley Cup Finals. Go Hurricanes. Been a fun series. Intense games. NBA Finals, go Spurs. Again, been some fun games.
Spurs.
And Charles Barkley said something pretty fun.
We've been competing with Cardi B here. We lost. Hey, I don't know if those B's, that might be Cardi B's. I sure am.
That is all. Anyway, on to the World Cup before we get to our divisional dives quickly. Yes, we mentioned it at the beginning. It is this week, and certainly we are not winning with that. But it is the biggest World Cup in history because it expanded to 48 teams. So it will be a little bit longer and a lot more competition, and it kicks off this Thursday, June 11th, with Mexico facing South Africa in Mexico City to kick it off. But there is a little bit of controversy. Apparently, travel, especially in the New York area, to get on the subway or to get to like MetLife Stadium or stadiums to get to games, are hundreds of dollars for the games themselves. Apparently, there is no tailgating allowed via FIFA. Stadiums have to cover their sponsorship. So, for example, Lumen Field in Seattle, they have to get rid of Lumen, and it's just like Seattle Field or whatever, because FIFA doesn't do sponsorships. And in Mexico, there was a bunch of protests by the CNT teachers union. They were pulling down like statues, like 16 feet tall, like pretty tall World Cup statues near the palace. Oh my gosh, I just had a stroke. To protest economic interests being prioritized over labor rights. And yeah, FIFA always. We talk about the NCAA and NFL having controversy, but FIFA might be the worst at that. So, but still excited for the World Cup. I know, like, the heat kind of worries people, but in summer heat cities like Miami, Houston, Atlanta, so there could possibly, because soccer does do hydration breaks, there could be 3 to 6 minute hydration breaks for the bigger cities. And the U.S. played Quinn's country, Germany, on Saturday and lost 2-1. But they did have a pretty sick goal, which was fun, and they kept up with them. They just had a horrible goal they let up in the first few minutes. But, yeah, U.S. is in it. Quinn's team, Germany's in it. Anybody but Germany, please. Anybody but Germany. If I were to be a betting man now, I'll be a realist. We all know what Quinn's pick's going to be. I mean, I'm not even going to waste my time with that. But I'm going to pick Portugal. I'm going to say Ronaldo gets his World Cup because Messi got his, and I was back and forth. I could see France doing it again with their talent at the forward position. Spain's the favorite to win it because they probably have the most depth and they have the most complete attack and defense. But something about Portugal, man, it's the best Portugal team I think Ronaldo's had in a World Cup. And I don't know, with the story of Messi finally getting his, this is Ronaldo's last World Cup, and I think it's Messi's too. I think Ronaldo gets it, and I hope we get a Ronaldo-Messi matchup, which I think could be like a quarterfinal with how the groups are shaped up. But yeah, I know Brazil ain't winning because they choke every year, and yeah, that's just a more bold pick. But Quinn, you might as well say your pick because we all know what it is, unless you are a realist.
Well, let's start with some of the controversy. I think it's funny. I saw there's a random lawsuit against FIFA in like New York area, like you're saying, of like inflated prices. Like they're just inflating their prices because they want more money. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, it's FIFA, NFL, greedy bastards. Yeah, it should be exciting. World Cup. A lot of it in the U.S. Eagles Stadium is hosting one or a few of the games, so that's fun. I will not be going. No. Stop it. No. We don't like that song. It's bad. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good teams. I know. Well, okay. I've heard some people are like the U.S. sort of be a dark horse. Other people are like the U.S. They'll make it past the group stage.
Okay,
But
that's more realistic.
yeah, to be honest, I don't have a lot of hope. I think it'd be great if we could make it far, but we're American. We play in soccer. Like, it doesn't matter if it's here or I don't know in Antarctica. I don't think we're making near the final. It'd be a nice surprise. I mean, Pulisic had a like long drought of goals. He finally got one the other day, so that's reassuring in timing wise. But I don't know. That guy was good 4 years ago, and then he's like, I'll drop off a little bit, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I know England's popular. Germany has some hope, but
I
as
joke
much as I
about
don't want
Germany,
to-
but oh gosh, England's the last team I want to win.
England is setting up in Kansas City, I do believe. So that's kind of funny. I don't mind England winning, but I think as much as I don't want to pick them, I'm gonna pick France. I mean,
Oh, you're not picking Germany.
no, I don't think they're gonna win. It'd be nice, but and I mean England has its own issues too. I mean, there's some people who are like England's gonna do great, and other people are like England. They might do okay. They might be good, or they might not. I just don't think they're as well rounded as the other teams like France and Spain. But yeah, I'm gonna say France. I think they just have a little too much talent. Spain is an interesting pick, but
They're loaded.
yeah, I'm gonna say France.
The U.S. plays Paraguay on Friday for our first game. Turkey is probably our toughest matchup. Paraguay is too, but I think that's winnable. Turkey is probably the toughest it's gonna get. I think Turkey and us can get out of the group stages, but once it gets to like the round of 32, round of 16, that's when they usually lose to a real team. I was impressed with how they did last World Cup. I think they did pretty well for low expectations. They made it and then lost to the Netherlands, but kept it close. So, and I'm a casual soccer fan. I'm bad with knowing players. I am not like, I have friends that are diehards. Like Pulisic is one of the only players I know on our team. Like, I'm not a diehard, but I do keep up with it time to time. But the World Cup is exciting. That finals was probably one of the greatest soccer games, if not the greatest of all time, with France and Argentina. With Mbappe literally carrying his team to PKs, which is not enough to beat Argentina. We've had pretty good World Cup finals too. Germany, Argentina, 12 years ago was one of my favorites too. When Germany won in extra time, there's been some good finals matchups. It usually, especially when it comes down, the final teams lives up to the hype. And the finals is in New Jersey, so Quinn, you could probably go. We should go together. We're kind of close. And
yeah,
pay
it'll only
our
be like
mortgage for it.
yeah, $200,000 for the worst seat in
We can't even
existence.
tailgate. And it's not even called MetLife. Won't even
Yeah.
be called MetLife.
Why is it even in not called MetLife? Like of all the stadiums in the U.S., they're like You know what? Let's put it in the shittiest stadium in the U.S.
For the finals.
where the turf will kill everyone. Soccer players are even more injury prone than American football players. This is gonna be backups on the field for the final.
Especially when Neymar flops all around the field for Brazil. If he even plays, because the dude's had a bad injury. But
yeah, Harry Kane will retire on the field.
Yeah, it could be. Well, to be fair, could be a lot of players last World Cup. He's up there, but yeah, we'll keep up to date with that in the podcast. Certainly very excited. But it is time to go over our traditional divisional recaps. We go from worst to best. We did both sides of the South. And in my opinion, the AFC East would probably be the third, which I know might be crazy because the Patriots and Bills. Patriots made the Super Bowl, Bills made the playoffs. What are you talking about? Well, the Jets and Dolphins exist. So that's why they're the third worst. But we might as well start with the best, and that's the divisional champ Patriots. Not just dominant in general, but on the road, never lost. Obviously, the A.J. Brown trade's going to help them. They did get Reggie Gilliam for the Packers, too. Not a lot of big off-season additions besides that. Probably the biggest news, obviously, was the Vrabel controversy, but he's probably expected to coach this year. Don't think he's really going anywhere. We'll just have to see how the distraction affects mentally, since that's a 24/7 job being a head coach. But the schedule merchants, they say. And that could be true because I believe they have one of the toughest schedules, if not the toughest this season compared to the easiest last year. Now, while I do think they're not going to be 14-3, I do think they could prove people wrong and be a playoff team. I think with a better O-line, a more experienced Drake May, and with an actual number one receiver now, they should still be a good team.
Yeah, I think they made the right moves for the most part this offseason. I would have liked if they drafted more wide receivers than none. Because they did get wide receiver from the Packers, Dobbs, but there is talk about him not really being a great number one option during training camp, which is also just training camp, to be fair. But yeah, AJ Brown's a good addition. He might only play like 10 games because his knee, but I think they're in a good position. I don't know how many games they'll win this season. There's going to be a lot rough for going from the easiest to the hardest schedule, especially the first 4 weeks. But only time will tell, and we will tell in some time when we make our predictions.
Absolutely. But on to second place with the Bills, 12-5 last year. New stadium. Lovely. Thank gosh they got out of that dump of their stadium where there's like 10 feet of snow every January. Man, you felt like this was their best chance with no Mahomes, Zach Burrow, or Lamar the pitcher. But still couldn't get it done. They did have an impressive wild card win over the Jags, but then the Denver lost in overtime, losing to a quarterback who ended up not even playing the next week, which was a shame. The controversial call of was it an interception, was it not? I don't think that so much costed the Bills as much as Josh Allen turned the ball over 4 or 5 times in that game. And they've been lacking at receiver forever. That's why they went to go get DJ Moore, trading away their second-round pick for him, which nowhere near like an A.J. Brown caliber type of player trade-wise, but still a really good receiver, a guy the Bills desperately needed. They've been missing that guy since Diggs, and even then Diggs was kind of washed in his final few years in Buffalo. They also signed Bradley Chubb to a 3-year deal, safety Geno Stones, your boy C.J. Gardner-Johnson, quarterback D. Alford. They also re-signed Damar Hamlin, so good for him. So besides DJ Moore, they went heavy on the defensive depth because, again, defensive players getting hurt has been a huge problem for them all these seasons. And they drafted Skylar Bell in the 4th round, had a decent draft, but it's kind of just the same old story with the Bills. Like, we know they're going to make the playoffs. Their regular season's always up and down, but they'll usually make the playoffs. I don't see them having a Chiefs-esque, like downfall of a season unless Allen gets hurt. It's just the postseason. Can you win in January? You're probably going to most likely get a few of Lamar, Burrow, and Mahomes back in the playoffs. You'll have to go through them again. And on top of that, the Patriots are good again. So now your own division isn't automatic like it used to be. Yeah, that's the bottom line with the Bills. We know they're a good team. Win the big one. It is simple as that.
Yeah. I was talking with Tom today, co-worker, friend of the show, Bills
Shout
expert,
out.
or resident Bills expert.
We'll get it back one day.
Yeah, he's excited about the new stadium, but he's saying it's probably going to be a while till he gets to go there because it's there's less seating in the stadium, and so it's like the second most expensive stadium to get tickets in for this season because of the new stadium and the seating. So exciting, but also some limitations as well. But I think the Bills are in a pretty good spot. I mean, today we're talking about, DJ Moore. It's like, he's not the most incredible wide receiver, but he's a great option for number one for them. He didn't really do as much in Chicago, but also there was like 5 other wide receivers around him that got the ball too. So like, it wasn't just him. So I think here is a great opportunity for him to shine. Keon Coleman, we'll see what he does if he kind of starts to step into his own or not. But yeah, I mean, the Bills are healthy right now. Defensively, getting more defensive pieces. I think the Bills have a good shot. They have a pretty good chance of winning the division, especially since the Patriots have the hardest schedule, and considering they're only 2 games apart last year, it's not hard to imagine Bills go 12 again or 13 wins maybe and win the division, or the Patriots maybe getting 10, something like that. But yeah, I think the Bills have a good shot this year. And yeah, like you're saying, it's funny because last year seemed like the best bet with everything with the other quarterbacks out. But watch, it's going to be some random year when Mahomes is playing well and the Chiefs are back and the Bills finally win against the Super Bowl again. So hopefully, for their sake at least. But yeah, I think the Bills have a good shot. Exciting to watch them. And they're still in contention.
All right, on to third place, the Miami Dolphins. Boy, a couple years ago, the electric offense, Mike McDaniel, Tua, Tyreek, we thought they'd be something special. They were. They were especially bad because they underwhelmed in the playoffs, and now they can't even make it. A disappointing 7-10 campaign last year where they literally deluded themselves into thinking they'd make the playoffs because they played terrible teams and got on a streak, and then my Steelers humiliated them and put them back to reality. Pretty much getting rid of everybody. Tyreek's gone. Trading Waddle to Denver. Yeah, I can't believe Tyreek's got no team. No Waddle anymore. But H8's still here. You extended him, that poor bastard. And you got Malik Willis as your future? Question mark? Bridge? We don't know. They also lost Bradley Chubb. Yeah, they lost a lot of guys. But they got Tutu Atwell, so everything's all good. They also got Jalen Tolbert, David Ojabu, Marco Wilson. Yeah. Miami, it's going to be a rough year for you. Now, worst team in the league, I don't know if they'll be that bad, especially with A-Chain there, and Malik's a decent guy, but their receiving core is ugly. And the defense lost a lot of guys, and their defense was kind of weak to begin with. I don't know how to feel about this new coach that came from Green Bay. Yeah, it's the bottom line is rebuild. But at least you're not the Jets. You might be able to rebuild a little bit quicker, but yeah, it's just a disappointing end to an era that we thought would be more exciting. I don't know if Miami was ever going to be a Super Bowl team, but at least winning some playoff games with the offensive talent they had. But Tua got CTE, Tyreek lost his mind as usual, and everything fell apart. To win the games, you have to win the games, and Mike McDaniel didn't.
Yeah, it's funny how fast they fell apart. I mean, you look at their roster now, and like who's the best player on their team? who's the most exciting like prospect. I mean, A-Chain's probably the best player, arguably. Most exciting, maybe Chop Robinson. But it's
Yeah.
it's definitely a rebuild. Definitely a rebuild. I mean, at least now they have wide receivers whose like names we actually know now. Because before it was like Caleb Douglas, Chris Bell, and Kevin Coleman Jr.
Oh,
They have Jalen Rager. He's their third string, which is kind of funny to see. Terrace Marshall Jr. I feel like I recognize that name, but he's like in the fourth wide receiver, so that's funny. But Malik Washington, some like heard of it. Jalen Tolbert, he's been on the Cowboys, kind of return guy. Tutu Atwell is probably the most recognizable. He was on the Rams. He made some good catches. He was a good like third option, which now he's also still listed as a third option, even though of all these guys, he's probably the number one option. But yeah, it's gonna be a rebuild for the Finns. I wouldn't expect a lot. They might even tie with the Jets for last. I feel like Malik Willis, they're like, let's see if he can be the starter, but he's probably just a bridge. But we can see if he's worth. But we can see.
at least he's got a chance
He's got a chance. Yeah.
on an awful team, but not as awful as this last team.
A whole lot of all of that. Boings and booze.
Boings and booze, the Jets in a nutshell. No interceptions for a defensive coach. 3-14. But they got Geno Smith back, the reunion of the century. Woohoo! And they signed Breece Hall, who's again stuck in this hellhole. That's two running backs stuck on disastrous teams. I just, man, maybe if this was a few years ago, Geno, not coming off of last year, I would have been like, okay, it's something, but my gosh, like the Jets can't draft a quarterback, they can't sign a good quarterback. What the heck can they do? Like, it's a complete disaster, and there's just nothing showing to me that like they're going to progress despite having good talent with Breece and Garrett Wilson. And they had Sauce Gardner, but they traded him, which I don't know. That trade looked okay for the Jets, but we'll have to see how those draft picks pay off. I mean, it's as simple as they're going to be the worst team in the division. I still think they're going to be worse than Miami. The Jets have that stench to them that it just won't go away. Rodgers couldn't even fix your team, let alone Geno Smith. And I don't like to be impatient on coaches and demanding people to get fired, but when you're a defensive guy like Aaron Glenn and you have no interceptions at all in the season, having Sauce Gardner on a team for the majority of it, and you keep him around, like, what are we doing? I feel like Woody Johnson is the true problem with the Jets. I feel like he's just not a good owner. I mean, when you have your kids and grandkids picking players or not picking players because of Madden ratings and taking that seriously a couple years ago, you're a joke of an owner. I'm sorry, but it might be one of those situations until he sells the team. Jets are going to suck. They're going to bounce, and they're going to be booed for life. Thanks to Woody.
You know what? I'm actually going to make a case here. I think the Jets will not get last. And I'm going to build my case entirely upon personnel. So, first of all, they have their offensive coordinator is now Frank Reich. I know he's had some up and down history recently, but when he was on the Eagles, did pretty well, right? So at least there's
that was
some
a long
competence.
time ago.
It was, but like the Colts, he wasn't that bad with the Colts either. I mean, he then went to Carolina, which wasn't great, but he at least has some idea of how to have a competent offense, even if it's not always great, competent, right? So he has some history of doing well. Then you look at their depth chart, and it's actually not terrible. Like maybe not the depth part, but starters like Geno Smith, quarterback, yes. is Geno Smith. It's probably not going to go that well with the Jets. But Geno Smith, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Adonai Mitchell, Kenyon Sadiq. Arguably, that's an interesting starting lineup, right? I mean, these are all names we know, names we find interesting. Maybe not Adonai Mitchell as much, but there's some intrigue there. Olu Fashanu from Penn State at left tackle. Armand Membu at right tackle. Some interesting pieces there. So, honestly, not as gross as the Dolphins. If I just had to look at the starting lineup, the Jets and Dolphins, I feel like I would take the Jets, at least offensive, and then defensive-wise, there's less. But David Bailey, second-round pick, not bad. They have Mozzie Smith from the Cowboys. He wasn't great, which is why he's now on the Jets. But Will McDonald did pretty well. Had 8 sacks, 8.5 2 years ago, 10 last year. And then, Minka Fitzpatrick as well. I mean, he's certainly not a spring chicken anymore, but the defense doesn't look as good. But honestly, it's not as bad as I thought. So, the Jets might do better than I expect this year. And I'm just going to say, I can see the Jets finishing above the Dolphins.
But the thing is, they've had rosters similar to this, and they finished bad. That's why I can't trust them. I don't know.
Hey, let me give the Jets fans some hope.
New Yorkers don't deserve that after how the Knicks fans treated the Spurs fans last night. Sorry, no. But, yeah, that does it for our divisionals. I mean, if I were to put my money on it now, I'm not sure if we even did. I know we did this for the NFC South. I don't know if the AFC South we picked us. I think we did. But I'd pick the Buffalo Bills right now. I hate to, hate on the schedule merchant, bandwagon and be on that. I still think the Patriots are a playoff team. I just think the Bills with an easier schedule and a legit number one, as long as Allen's healthy, I think they'll win the division. I think they'll get it back, but yeah. Yep. Anyway, it is time to have some fun with the fun segments that I still don't have interest for because I'm lazy. Woohoo! I promise you, by next week, I will have them. Mark it down. If I don't, then we'll cancel the podcast. But it is time for Buddy D's Brain Freeze, where I come up with around 2 crazy facts that you would never think of. And yeah, it's a lot of me talking and Quinn going, what?
Interesting.
So much fun. So, it is time, and I got 2 this week, and the first one is the Minecraft Masterclass. In 2023, the Phoenix Suns hired a data analysis firm to help with team building and chemistry. I think this was when KD was on the team, too. So, instead of the standard, trust falls and other team building exercises that you do,
snore,
they were forced to operate a private locked Minecraft server where the starting 5 players had to collaborate to build complex survival bases. And the firm tracked their communication digitally. Coaches actually altered late-game fourth-quarter plays based on who stepped up as the natural leader in the video game. I don't know how much I believe that last part, considering Devin Booker and KD run the team. But I mean, it's kind of a unique kind of way, kind of like a geeky. I know you're a Minecraft guy. You'll be offended me saying geeky, nerdy, but it's Minecraft. And it's also Minecraft when it's not at the height of its popularity. But yeah, I think it's unique, something interesting for team bonding, I guess. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think it's a nice way to get people to work together. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in Minecraft to do, so I can understand the team building, and I think it's a fun, unique idea. Why not, right? Have some fun. NFL players love video games, so why not, right?
Did it lead to a title, though?
NBA.
No, it did not.
Well,
now on to the AI umpire sabotage, which is what I'm using the format pretty much. This episode is AI, but hey, we use it smartly and safely. In 2024, during a AAA minor league testing of an automated ball strike system, before ABS became a thing this year. Tech-savvy catchers figured out a loophole. And they discovered that the AI cameras track top and bottom of the strike zone based on the batter's uniform belt. And catchers were caught discreetly pulling down or hiking up their batter's pants/belts at the plate to successfully trick the computer system into altering the strike zone by up to 3 inches. So they're rigging strikes by pulling down players' pants and belts nonchalantly. Thank gosh the MLB we don't have that. At least I hope we don't. I don't need to see awkward interactions where catchers are trying to yank players' pants up.
That is hilarious. That is fantastic. I love that.
For
Put you up
those,
your pants.
for our very few subscribers and fans that we have, if you've gone to a AAA game before around that time, let us know if you've noticed that in the comments. But it is time for more fun here. And Quinn, do you have anything for fun today?
I do. I have 2 things fun.
Ooh,
So I can start off with one of mine if you want to jump over to a mystery one of yours. Jump around a little bit.
Oh yeah, let's do back and forth. Let's start with Quinn.
All right. So this first one is going to be a $15, 4 categories. Dylan has to buy his way to a unique thing. So today you are building it could be a story, just a story. It could be a book series, maybe a movie series. But we go through 4 categories, and I want you to build the best story. So starting off, you have the main character of your story. All right, so for $1, you can just have a weird-looking dude. You can also put this in theaters too. So looks are more important there. So weird-looking guy. You could have an average-looking guy for $2. For $3, you could have a trio, like Harry Potter, male, female, something like that. Classic trio. For $4, you can have a classic hero. You know, just exactly what you think of. Or for $5, you could have a group of 3 heroes. Not just one can whoop ass, but you can have 3.
I'll go $3. I'll go with the typical trio. More is more, right? More is more. We don't need heroes. I don't need heroes in my life, in my story. Who needs that? The world's a dark place.
I need a hero. All right. Next up is your is the story that's going on during your story. So for $1, you get just kind of a weird random trip, like a group gets distracted on the way to the gas station, something like that. For $2, you can get a coming of age story about your 3 people, maybe growing up in a medieval town or something. So for $2, that was coming of age. For $3, you get a love story, because that always sells, because classic, right? For $4, you can get somebody went missing, hunt them down, find them. And then for $5, you can get the classic fairy tale, a damsel's in distress, and they need to save her.
Ooh, man. What was the $2 one?
Coming of age. So you have $12.
I'm gonna do coming of age. I'm gonna do coming of age story.
All right. So that means you have $10 left. So for your next category, you get the villain. We're not doing specific villain, but just something just generalized kind of thing. So for $1, you can get just these people's neighbor, just random Joe next door. For $2, you can get just like a businessman, not like too big, but like local businessman, something like that, has a few stores, companies, whatever. For $3, you can get the classic Russian villain. For $4, you can get the classic German villain. And for $5, you can get an alien. Whatever alien you want.
Give me the $2 businessman, because my boss is going to be Gus Fring, because Breaking Bad's my favorite show of all time, and Gus is one of the best villains of all time. And if you watch Breaking Bad, you know what I'm talking about, and if not, you know. I don't need the stereotype German or Russian. I don't need the stereotypes. Give me a more realistic story with a brutal boss like that.
All right. And then finally, this last category, you can get anything you want. You could have had anything you want for the last category too. But finally is the monster category. This is the big bad monster characters are going to have to fight that the villain sends out for them. So for $1, the big bad monster that they're fighting is Toad from Mario. For $2, you get like a small group of 5 centaurs. For $3, you get the Boogeyman. For $4, you get a giant, like a whatever kind of giant you want, big, scary, just big giant. Or for $5, you can have the classic dragon.
We'll go with the giant. Let's go $4. We'll go with like a giant ripped dude, a giant guy they gotta fight. That's the thing.
Right.
It's like you kind of have it shaped to be like a stereotypical like fighting a bad guy type scene. Well, like I said, some of my favorite shows: Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, more thrillers, more real, more like flawed characters that like have issues, but are coming of age in a bad way. A lot of these shows coming of age, but like realistic, like evil, horrible people. So that's more my speed. But yeah, I'll have Gus Fring have a big jacked fucking dude for them to have to beat up.
Yeah. All right. Nice job. So that means you have a trio of people for a coming of age story where the villain is a businessman and you fight a giant that the businessman has in his lair of business.
And again, it's based off of my taste. A lot of people might go with the big time, like over the top stuff, dragon, Russian villain, alien, that stuff.
Yeah.
But Quinn, we're gonna go from best to worst because you have $15 to spend, but it's for the Nightmare Backyard Barbecue. It is the summer, after all. It is barbecue season. We're going to come up with your worst barbecue. Think of the worst 4th of July party you could possibly ever have. So, for category number 1 is the Grill Master. And for $1, then the nuance, they flip the burger every 15 seconds, destroying all the juices. For $2, the Petty Pain. They refuse to cook any meat until the vegetarian options are completely done. For $3, the Aggravation. Keeps talking about a secret meat rub, which is clearly just standard Lowry salt. For $4, the Pure Agony. The guy who just stands over the grill for 3 hours holding the toss but refuses to actually start cooking. Dear God, the meat's burnt to death. And for $5, the Ultimate Disaster. Cooks everything to a gray hockey puck, well done, and aggressively uses lighter fluid flavor.
What was $3 option again?
For $3, he just kept talking about his secret meat rub, which is clearly just standard salt, Lowry salt.
I'm going to pay a little bit here. I'm going to go for the $4 option. The guy just stands around and doesn't actually cook anything.
It'd be like, what's the point of us coming over here? You're just sit there. All right. So you got $11 left. The second category, beverage sins. So for $1, the ice is completely melted into a lukewarm soup of floating hot dog packages. For $2, all the beer is ice cold, but there's not a single bottle opener on the property, so you better hope there's cans. For $3, someone brought an expensive 6-pack of craft beer, put it in the cooler, but strictly forbids anyone else from touching it. for $4, the host who expects you to drink tap water out of a hose because they ran out of cups. And for $5, a cooler filled with nothing but warm, generic brand diet sodas and zero ice. So Diet Dr. Thunder. Or Diet RC.
That's tough. Part of me is, well, I feel like the first option with the ice and hot dogs, that just ends up happening anyway. I will say, I don't feel like I get that much great value from like the $2, $3, $4 options. So I'll go with the $2. There's no can openers on the property anywhere.
How dare you, bastard! How can we possibly drink now? All right. So you got $9 left. Third category, the main food. What happens to it? Well, for $1, the Flies and Yellow Jackets have officially claimed ownership of the watermelon slices, unless you want to get stung. For $2, the generic store brand paper plates fold instantly under the weight of one single burger. What plates are you getting? For $3, there's an abundance of meat, but the only condiment available is one nearly empty bottle of spicy mustard. I'm not a condiments guy, but people that love condiments are going to hate that. For $4, the potato salad has been sitting out of the direct 90-degree sun for 4 hours. And for $5, the hot dog buns are completely hard, stale, and split directly in half when you touch them.
I'm gonna do a little combo here. I'm gonna get the $1 option and the $2 option. So you can't eat any watermelon and shit, I forget the second option, but also the second option.
The paper plates folding.
Yeah,
instantly.
you can't even eat your food. That's the worst. You can't eat your food, and then when you put anything on your plate, it just goes. Nothing worse than dumping your whole plate.
All right, interesting. So, you got $6 left, so you can pick anything for the guest menace. Because, of course, we got to involve people. For $1, the guest who stands directly in the pathway of the only air-conditioned doorway. For $2, the person who aggressively critiques the host's lawn care and patio setup. For $3, the person who shows up completely empty-handed but is the first in line to pack 3 to-go boxes. For $4, the uninvited guest who brings their giant, untrained dog that immediately steals a steak off the plate. And for $5, the guy who bought a massive Bluetooth speaker and plays his personal, obscure podcast out loud. He's playing a DQ frenzy for everybody. How's that the worst thing? Who doesn't want to listen to that on the 4th of July? I love how specific this is.
Yeah. I think I've comedy here. I'm going to take the $5 option, the guy who plays the random podcast. I like that just because it's a podcast. You know, he can play DQ Frenzy, and that's a good thing. But also, for $1, I'll take the guy that stands in the one doorway of conditioning.
Oh, good combo. Wow. Yeah, that is annoying on a hot day to be in the way of that. Like, save some for the rest of us. We're dying out here. We're sweating. But for Dylan Shields, Quinn Schmiedel, we got NBA Finals, Stanley Cup, World Cup. A lot to look forward to this summer. And obviously NFL, we still have news, but a lot more sports are going on than that. But have a great week, everyone. And come up with a better chant than this.
Yeah, anything like that, actually.